Welcome to our final forum for the evening. It is New Mexico House Representative District 57. With us today we have Michelle Sandoval and we have Catherine Cullen. Jeez.
Catherine Cullen.
So a couple tidbits. First things first is we have a 1 minute opening, 1 minute closing, and we will have the questions will consist of 1 to 2 minutes. And with that, I want to go ahead and thank Tracy with the Rio Rancho Observer for asking all the questions this evening. Greatly appreciated. The staff from the Rio Rancho Regional Chamber for all their time today. Rio Rancho Public Schools for offering up the facility today, and to Greencastle Media for all the video and recording and audio today. So thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started, and we will start on my right-hand side with Michelle Sandoval. You have 1 minute opening.
Perfect, thank you. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank you guys for putting this together. So my name's Michelle Sandoval. I'm running for House District 57. I'm running because we need a leader for today. I was born and raised to a working family, and I understand what working families need. I have had a career, and my young professional career has been in finance and safety and security of our nation at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. I've worked in the public and the private sector. I've worked on advocating for responsible use of taxpayer dollars and creating an economic opportunity for families and businesses. So my working class roots, they really drive my passion and my desire to run and to push really hard for great opportunities for New Mexico. So I'm advocating for, as a candidate for District 57, great education for our children, healthcare that's affordable and accessible, housing people can afford, and safe and crime-free communities.
Thank you. Catherine, your opening.
Hi, my name is Catherine Cullen. I'm the candidate for District 57. First, I want to thank the Rio Rancho Observer, the Rio Rancho Chamber of Commerce, and the Rio Rancho Public Schools for hosting us here today, and also my opponent for coming out tonight. I've been in the real estate industry for over 30 years, almost 30 years next year. I have served on the Rio Rancho School Board for 8 years. I'm a master board member with the New Mexico School Board Association. I have served on a number of national and local boards and committees. I'm a graduate of Leadership Sandoval and a Leadership New Mexico local government program. When my family moved here in about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, we decided to purchase a home in Rio Rancho because of the great schools. We only planned on living here for 2 years, but we fell in love and we decided to raise our family here. I want to thank the support of my family that they have shown me during this journey. My husband and I have been married for 33 years. He served in the Army and the New Mexico National Guard.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our very first question, Catherine, it's coming right back to you.
Okay, this is a 1 minute question, and it is in regards to child care. What can be done to expand access to affordable child care, and how can the state work to support both providers and working families?
Well, actually, they have expanded child care assistance in New Mexico. I believe they just raised the rates allowable. I think it's at 400% of the poverty level. So I think, and my understanding is that you could, depending on your size of the family, up to $111,000 of your income, that you're able to get child care assistance. Child care assistance, of course, is very important for communities and parents. We didn't have it when we were raising our children. And we know to be able to get back, for people back to work, to have child care for their children. It's very expensive. It has gone up quite a bit over the years. So I believe there is a lot of access. We are seeing a lot more child care facilities open up as well throughout the state.
Thank you, Catherine. Same question. Michelle, Tracy will restate.
Okay. What can be done to expand access to affordable child care, and how can the state work to support both providers and working families?
Absolutely. So I am a mom. I have a toddler. She's 2 years old. And, when I was pregnant with her, I did have a lot of worries of how I was going to have a career and how I was going to be able to do things without having proper childcare. And looking at the costs compared to what I was making at the Sandoval County Treasurer's Office, it was almost my entire check. And so it wasn't an option, right? It wasn't an option for me. And so just like other moms in the state, I understand. So one thing that's really important is, like we said, we are opening up childcare access as of now, but we need to do and take it steps further. We need to incentivize businesses so that way they can offer in-house childcare. We need to work on offering clinical childcare for healthcare professionals that are trying to expand here in New Mexico. And we need to make sure that we advertise it. We're a state. We're competing with other nations for professionals, right? Other states in the nation for professionals. We need to make sure people know that we offer childcare. So this is about supporting our future, supporting our children, and supporting our state.
Thank you, Michelle. Next question is coming right back to you, Tracy.
This is a 2-minute question on healthcare. Given New Mexico has some of the highest malpractice insurance costs in the nation, what legislative measures could be proposed to ensure that healthcare providers remain protected while maintaining affordable healthcare services for residents?
Absolutely. So healthcare is really close to home for me. So my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor a few years ago, and he had brain surgery. And then recently he had a seizure and had another tumor this March. And so actually we couldn't see a healthcare provider for 6 months to a year. So we outsource all of our help to El Paso. He sees every doctor, every specialist, every radiologist in El Paso. And thankfully he's in the military, and so we have the access and ability to do that. So we have an issue right now with retaining healthcare professionals, right? And so for malpractice insurance, the thing that it's doing is it's driving professionals out of the state. It's bringing drastic, it's holding the doctors hostage, right? It's saying, I'm gonna raise your insurance if you don't do what I say, if you're not abiding by my rules. And what we're doing on the flip side is nothing, right? So what can we do? So we can go into the legislative session, we can advocate for bills that are gonna regulate, that are gonna increase oversight, accountability to these malpractice insurances, and make sure that we hold them accountable for how they're treating our healthcare professionals. Because if we're not opening up this state for doctors and nurses and people that we need, one day every single one of us is gonna be in a hospital, and we have to keep that in mind. So it's important for us to do the action and be proactive now to make it happen, so that way we don't have to worry about it later, for us, for our kids, for our future, and for everyone in New Mexico.
Thank you, Michelle. Catherine, same question. Tracy will restate.
Given that New Mexico has some of the highest malpractice insurance costs in the nation, what legislative measures could be proposed to ensure that healthcare providers remain protected while maintaining affordable healthcare services for residents?
We actually need to fix the malpractice insurance and also the amount that we're paid into the patient compensation fund. It's way too high. We can't compete with other states. These physicians are leaving to go out of state to practice. And we also need to have tort reform. It is very important that we finally address that. We're a very litigious state. And, we cannot keep up with the premiums and how much we're paying out, especially with this high cost of the patient compensation fund. Some other things is that to bring doctors here, we're seeing that they're advertising in Texas, try to bring some of the physicians here in New Mexico, but first they say we need to fix the issues in New Mexico. And so one of the things that we need to do is also to get our doctors to stay here is to look at incentivizing for their student debt. We have students that are graduating from UNM Medical School, and then they're going out of state for their residency, and they're being picked up from other states that are willing to pay their student debt, their medical student debt. So we need to look at that so we can compete with the other states. We also need to see if we can expand the BA-MD program at UNM to allow to have more healthcare workers here to stay and working within the rural areas where we really see. Because so many times we are seeing people leave out of state to go get their care. I just had a friend just recently ask me, I can't get in, do you have some recommendations? I know people that go to the Mayo Clinic and they get access. And we can't have that. We need to have the doctors here and nurses. We're just really not properly staffed here in New Mexico. So I'm watching the clock now. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, next question's coming right back to you.
This is a 1-minute question. It is on crime. After this summer's failed special session on crime, how do you plan to address the issue in 2025?
I went to that special session, and personally, that was a waste of taxpayers' money. The only bill that got done was the feed bill, and then there was an amendment to try to even address fentanyl at the border in that bill, and they wouldn't take it. We need the legislature to have a reform for the juvenile justice system. We're hearing this continuously from the DA Bregman, that we need to be able to, not always release them. They're doing very violent crimes out there, and we need to have that reform. We need to address bail reform and prevent repeat offenders. We need to give judges the authorities to detain and repeat offenders. We need to strengthen our competency standards and align the state laws with federal laws as well. We also need to really build the infrastructure for mental health and substance abuse in this state. Too many times, people are having to wait for a long period of times to get treatment for substance abuse. We also need to strengthen our RICO laws as well.
Thank you, Catherine. Same question, Michelle. Tracy will restate.
After this summer's failed special session on crime, how do you plan to address the issue in 2025?
Yes. So I actually want to start with, I want to say that this is really personal to me because a few months ago, I was actually sexually assaulted at Walmart in Rio Rancho. And so it's time we take action, right? It's creeping up here. And so this can be done in a variety of ways. One of the number one things that I really think that we should take action on is making sure that we strengthen our law enforcement across the state, all the way down to the county, to the city, to the state level, making sure they have the maximum amount of funding that they need to hire their staffing, to train properly, give them the equipment that they need to be able to do the job, to be able to get these offenders, because mine was not obtained, right? We need to fund our overran courts, because our courts are so overran. Their trials are not taken care of properly, and judges are not able to make decisions in the best capabilities that they have. So we additionally need to work into funding mental health and rehabilitation programs. And so talking about ending crime won't stop it, but real action will.
Thank you, Michelle. Next question is coming right back to you.
This is a 1-minute question on the political climate. At the state level, what can be done to moderate the extreme divide in politics that have alienated moderate voters?
Yes. So I want to start off with talking about our elections. Elections are really important, right? They're the foundation to our democracy. And so the lives and safety of our poll workers should be at the top of our priority. So we need to take in consideration that New Mexico is actually leading. We've been recognized nationally as the Secretary of State has opened up the Voter Rights Act. She's made voting easier. She's made same-day voter registration accessible, and she's opened up Native American voting, right? So this place should be a foundation of hope and comfortability to express who you want to vote for and who you care for. So there's no place for divisiveness in politics. And I think, as far as I've seen, New Mexico doesn't seem to have a lot of hostility, and I hope that we can keep it that way. I really ran my campaign and who I am and what I'm running on about bringing people together and about making sure that we work against divided politics and divided political climates, because there's nothing that we can get done if we're not working hand in hand on things to get things done.
Thank you, Michelle. Tracy, same question to Catherine.
Yes. At the state level, what can be done to moderate the extreme divide in politics that have alienated moderate voters?
Well, it has been pretty extreme and unfortunately very divisive. I mean, it's been a lot, you've seen it for many years, and I can kind of tell when I kind of started seeing it, but, before it got extreme, we all kind of worked together. We were able to work together to pass bills to better our communities without such a divide. I'm actually a moderate. I'm not an extreme on the right side. I am I'm a realist when it comes to issues today. And unfortunately, you see a lot of the divide among the far right and the far left, which has really turned off the moderate voters. So for me, I worked on a nonpartisan board and knew how to work together to do the best that we could for our district. And I am happy to work across the aisle to pass bills that our state needs and requires us to do.
Thank you, Catherine. Next question is coming right back to you.
Okay, this is a 2-minute question on energy. New Mexico has been focused on green energy, which has included the closure of the San Juan plant, yet New Mexico's budget is driven by oil and gas revenues. What are your thoughts on energy policy in New Mexico?
So I believe that we should diversify our energy. I believe in renewable energy, definitely not against it. I think that, we need to invest in that, but I'm also a supporter of oil and gas. Oil and gas brought in about 50% of our budget, our general revenue. And they have been really regulated quite a bit. And they provide a lot of money and a lot of resources for our state. And so, yeah, I'm supportive of renewable energy. We need to diversify. And I'm also supportive of oil and gas.
Thank you. Same question to you, Michelle. Tracy will restate.
New Mexico has been focused on green energy, which has included the closure of the San Juan plant, yet New Mexico's budget is driven by oil and gas revenues. What are your thoughts on energy policy in New Mexico?
Yes, so New Mexico is a powerhouse. I mean, we have a beautiful state and we have beautiful capabilities. We have wonderful wind opportunities, wonderful solar opportunities, and I understand New Mexico relies on oil and gas, and it's not going to go away, and that's okay. It doesn't need to go away, but we need to also diversify our investments in our portfolio, right? So I have a background in finance, and we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. We're saying, we're really going to rely on oil and gas, we're really going to rely on oil and gas, and a lot of people are turning to electric vehicles, which they want to because they're not paying for gas, right? And it's easier for them, but there's also alternatives to this path, right? So we're putting all this money here when there's so much more that New Mexico brings in all of its abundancies. So we need to move in a more financial diversification means. And honestly, top of the ticket is working up in Los Alamos. I think I understand to the importance of hydrogen. And we are doing incredible, incredible work on making it aggressive, making it helpful, and making it good. And it's a reality. It's coming. It's coming down. We're going to start using it. And so what's important is knowing as we're diversifying everything in our energy sources across New Mexico, looking, like Catherine said, at the regulations. How are we going to regulate them? If we're bringing hydrogen in, we need to regulate them. If we're bringing hydrogen in, how are we going to best protect our families over the state? And that goes for everything. For oil and gas, that goes for how are we going to keep adding protections for the Native Americans and for those living around the oil wells? How are we going to keep adding the regulations to make sure that although they're bringing business and growth to our state, we're able to hold them accountable for the things that they're also doing that are detrimental.
Okay, thank you. Catherine, same question.
No.
I'm sorry, new question. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I can answer it again if you like, and I'll expand.
I'm sorry. It's the first time I made a mistake all day. Michelle, question's coming right back to you.
Mm-hmm.
A 1-minute question on economic development. What strategies would you promote for economic growth and attract new businesses to New Mexico?
Perfect. So New Mexico is beautiful. I've spent most of my time hiking, camping, wakeboarding, snowboarding. It's like my biggest hobby. I love New Mexico. And it's so gorgeous. So why don't people move here, right? Like, why aren't people coming? Because we have such high crime rates. We have such low education levels. We are not making New Mexico a beautiful place to come, even though it's such a beautiful state. So if we want to attract people and we want people to come in, we really need to take a look at what the root of the problem is, right? And say, we're going to make these adjustments. That way, we're inviting, we're opening up ourselves up and saying, we want you to come, we want you to enjoy us. And in that process, we also need to understand that we need to improve our infrastructure as we're growing. We need to use our resources to fund our firefighters and police force and to continue to make New Mexico a great place as we're making these transitions. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine, same question. Tracy will restate.
What strategies would you promote for economic growth and attracting new businesses to New Mexico?
First, we need to address the crime and education situation in our state. When businesses are looking at moving to New Mexico, those are the first two things that they look at is crime and education. And then the third is usually infrastructure. So we need to address those immediately so that we can continue to bring economic development into our state. Second is we need to continue supporting our infrastructure. We need to reform taxes to a sales tax. GRT is too cumbersome and has too many problems, and businesses look at that and they say, well, we'll just go to a neighboring state. We're not competitive when it comes to GRT. We also, for economic development, for CTE, bringing skilled workers to the businesses. We're having a great facility, and I had 10 seconds. So we also need to stop over-regulating our businesses as well.
Thank you, Catherine. We have time for one more question, Tracy.
Okay, a 1-minute question on education. What can New Mexico do to move out of 50th in the nation when it comes to education rankings?
My first, right? Okay. First, we need to reinstate the state school board because we have gone through 5 secretaries now under this governor. And so for us to have some stability in education, we need to go back to a state school board. There was a bill at the last session. It passed Senate, got held up in the House. Because we need to have more local control as well. We also need to look at funding K through 3 reading coaches. We need to expand and fund CTE throughout the state. I started on the school board in 2013. It took me my last vote in 2021 to approve for the building for the CTE. It's been my baby for all those years. And it shouldn't be only limited to like, say, Hobbs or Rio Rancho. We need to expand it to every student so they can have those skills to go into the workforce. And I know I'm short, so I'll let it there.
Thank you, Catherine. Michelle? Tracy will restate the question.
What can New Mexico do to move out of 50th in the nation when it comes to education rankings?
Yeah, so I've actually gone to Rio Rancho Public Schools my entire life, and I'm ready to invest back into the public school system. My daughter is going to go to school in this district, and so I'm proud to be endorsed by education unions who have advocated and worked on great career opportunities and working on CTE programs and implementing them into our schools. They work really hard on lifting up the middle class, and it's important to me, like Catherine said, is the CTE program doesn't need to be held in one city or 2 cities. It needs to be implemented across the state. It was taken away and it needs to put back. In addition, civics needs to be put back into our schools. I think that for me, I didn't really know a lot about government until I went and worked at the Sandoval County Treasurer's Office. And I was like, why am I learning so much here when I should have learned so much more in school? But classrooms need us and teachers need us. We need to invest in what works. Smaller class sizes, more support staff, fairly paid and treated teachers, and we need to allow teachers to teach.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the questions for this evening. So with that, Michelle, we will have you do your closing.
Yes. So I bring a new vision of freedom and opportunity to New Mexico. I'm a vision of control of our own reproductive freedom, the opportunity to build families, the opportunity to grow your career, to grow your business, in a beautiful landscape that New Mexico has to offer. I am a trusted visionary candidate. I'm the only one who has been transparent about safeguarding abortion access and additionally supporting the Paid Family Medical Leave Act as it comes up again. I've dedicated my career to finance in helping our state, and I've been a leader I've dedicated my career additionally in the national safety and security at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. But now it's time for us to turn to our state and look at the safety and security of our state and invest there. So I'm a military wife, I'm a mom, and I know what it means to serve. I've served in this community my entire life, and I'm really ready to deliver for our community in the Roundhouse.
Thank you, Michelle. Catherine, your closing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come out this evening and speak to you all. I have dedicated 20 years to serving the community in different roles, from different boards to different committees. and I have worked alongside the Rio Rancho, Sandoval County, and state leaders within our community. I have the experience needed for Rio Rancho to serve in the Roundhouse. I've served on a number of nonpartisan boards, so I know how we can work together to be able to make decisions to help our community. And I will also work across the aisle to get things done. I work hard I will, just as I did on the school board, you can always you can make it what you want to do with it. So you can go to 2 meetings a month, and that's all you do to serve. Or you can actually go to every event, understand, meet with your community members, and understand the needs of the community so that you can address it when you're at the Roundhouse. So, thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So thank you to Catherine Cullen for being with us today, and Michelle Sandoval. Please give them a round of applause. That concludes the forum for District 57, and thank you all for being here this evening.